Okay, so we are a product of what we do. So what I want to look at is some things like habit stacking and how we can become calmer, more flexible, just by changing how we live. So what you'll find is that you may be very good at your job because your job is what you do all the time. So if you think that you may be working 8 to 10 hours a day, maybe 12 hours, maybe 14 hours, that's who you are. That's how you become an expert in what you do, because we are what we do. Okay, so a couple of the things that I want to look at one is breathing. How, if you imagine that we can only last minutes without breath, we need to get that right. We need to be breathing correctly. And so to make that a habit and not have the habit of, which is what happens as we get older, we create the habit of being stressed. And so, 1 minute, that isn't yours, you stinker, get off. So we create the habit of being stressed. So to stop that, we need to create a habit of being calm. And so I've looked at this in other videos. Look at some of my other videos where we relax and we sink the shoulders, we breathe deeply, you know, look at some of those. And then we're going to look at how we bring those into our lives. And it's really simple. So we stack the habits. So the first one with breathing, what we're going to do. So I would say just use your 6-6 breathing. Breathe in for 6 seconds, breathe out 6 seconds. Slow your breathing right down. You're a monkey, you're not going to get it. No, you're not. Okay, so we slow our breathing right down. Now, how do we bring that into our day? Well, we've all got downtime. So if you have a few seconds here and there, take one breath. But bring your mind in, have your mind, focus on that breath. In for 6, out for 6. If you can and you're staying around, just release your knees, release your shoulders as you breathe out. Do it anyway. So you could be in a queue. You could quite easily do this in a queue. You can be waiting in a queue, just breathe in, breathe out. And focus on that while you're waiting. If you're in traffic, do exactly the same thing. If you're waiting for the kettle to boil, do the same thing, just breathe. Anytime you have. If you're just sitting down and all of a sudden you have a moment of clarity, or you're just sitting there and go, oh, there's nothing going on, breathe. If it becomes a habit, it becomes who you are. So that's number one, is breathing. So the second one I want to look at is flexibility and keeping our mobility. So one of the problems we have is that all of our sitting, all of our, you know, our sedentary lifestyles and things like that, we don't move as much as we should. And we should get up every 15 minutes really and move around. Just moving around is good, you know, just walking around and doing something like that is great. But what else can we do? So with our flexibility, we can stretch when we're sitting down, when we're waiting for something. Again, if you can't do this when you're out, obviously, but if you're, say for instance, you're sitting in a chair, pull your leg up, just stretch it across. Hold it for 8 seconds. So a minimum of 8 seconds on any stretch. We can do exactly the same on the other side. Just pull the opposite knee to the opposite shoulder. That'll stretch out your glutes for you. And that's a simple stretch you can do just while you're sitting in your chair. You can do, if you can see my feet, I might go back a bit. You can see my feet. You can do foot press-ups. Yeah, you do have to do a lot of these, but this is something you can do while you're... You are such a pest. While you're sitting down. Okay. So, obviously, if you're at work, you've got to be limit what you can do. You can do spinal twists. I say, just hold for 8 seconds. Breathe out as you twist. And that, again, you can just add these into your life when you've got a little bit of downtime. Is this annoying, everyone? Oi. Yes, you. Can you be quieter, please? Okay, 1 minute. Okay, so let's try again. So again, if you're sitting down, you've got different exercises. You can look up online quite easily, and I've got a whole routine on seated stretches, and I'll upload that at some point. Now, the other thing you can do is if you're watching TV. So if you're watching TV, what we can do is just stretch while we're watching TV. Again, stretches don't have to be done for a long time. You can hold for 30 seconds, but the minimum you need to hold a stretch is 8 seconds. I would say try for 15, because that's better. But let's look at some of the stretches we can do while we're watching TV. Okay, so let's look at some stretches we can do while watching TV. And when you're stretching and watching TV, now I'd always suggest if you can sit on the floor, otherwise do the stretches that you can do in a chair. As I say, I'll upload some of those. Now, but if you can sit on the floor, it's great because you're getting up and down. Again, this is a skill that we don't want to lose. And you don't have to, with this, don't push the stretches. These are going to be passive stretches. We're not trying to get to our maximum range of motion. We're just stretching and keeping the stretching short, but a part of what we do consistently. Okay, so it's different to doing a full stretching routine. Doing a full stretching routine, you know, you might be sore afterwards, and this we don't want to be sore. So the first one we're going to do is the butterfly. And just sit in the butterfly, keeping your back up straight, putting your knees down. You can push your knees down with your elbows if you want, but just stay up nice and straight. And just, again, hold for, if you're watching TV, hold for 30 seconds. Just sit there, but don't push it. Don't make it uncomfortable. You can bounce and get some movement in it. So just something you can do to open up your hips and your adductors. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is going to be the pancake. So the pancake, from here, we're just going to bend forwards. We're trying to really put our stomach on the floor. So all we're going to do is reach forwards. You don't have to go far. So with this one, I wouldn't go that far at all. You know, you don't have to get all the way down. Just go to where you feel comfortable, but try and keep your back straight as much as you can. If you're like me at the moment and you've got a bit of a sore back, then you don't want to go too far. But again, just hold for 30 seconds, just relax into it. Keep your back straight, relax into it. Try and get your elbows down, try and reach further. And again, you've got the pancake there. If we want to start getting the hamstrings, all we need to do is bring one foot in and reach down into the foot. So again, we call this, if you move over here for a minute, that'd be helpful, thank you. Monkey climbs a tree. So we climb down the tree. So you might even just get to here. We can climb all the way down until we can get to the foot here. Again, a nice one for the hamstring, and just hold for 30 seconds. Now, if you are a little bit more advanced with these, you can do things like holding your foot up into the air here. Again, just hold for 30 seconds. But these are things that you don't have to push. Do them if they're comfortable. This is what I want to stress is be comfortable doing it, because you want to hold it for a slightly longer time. If you can sit there for 5 minutes, brilliant. You know, if you can do that watching TV and it's not too much of a stress, then that's great. Simple stretches like that we can use, no biting, but we can use to add into our day. As I say, so then you're stretching all the time. So if you say, for instance, you're watching a half-hour program and you spend that time just passive stretching, don't push it. As I say, I really want to emphasize, don't push these stretches. Just sit comfortably. If you're going to sit here and you can pull the knee over and just pull that in and do that stretch. Yeah. Again, do it passively. Don't go too far with it, because what you want to do is be able to hold it for a long time and relax. When the muscles relax, what we're doing, we're using the stretch reflex. So when we get into a stretch, the stretch reflex will stop us going any further. The longer we hold it, the more the body gets used to the position, and it opens up the muscles again, so you can go a little bit further. So the longer you hold them, that's why passive stretching works, or how passive stretching works. There are quicker methods, but again, this is one by being what you do. So if you're stretching all the time, you'll become someone that's flexible. It's as simple as that. Okay, so let's look at the next ones. So next, what I want to look at is standing. What we can do while we're standing. How can we add movement into our life while we're standing? Well, one, we can start very simply by shifting from one leg to the other leg. I then just stand on it, and we want to get our hip directly over the foot and balance. And what we're doing now, this leg is working hard, this one isn't. But you need to do both sides. Usually when we stand, we favour one side, and that misaligns us. So we want to make sure that we're balanced on both sides. Now, the easiest way to do this is to get directly over the hip, use your mind, get your mind into the movement, get your foot engaged, and then just bring the toe and just have the toe touching very, very lightly. So this way, you're not going to have anyone, if you're waiting in the queue, you're not going to have anyone looking at you weirdly as if you're, standing on one leg. Yeah. So just do that, just very, very lightly holding here. Now, that's if someone's around and we're balancing and we're out. Now, obviously, we can do stuff more like this, where it's more like yoga. And you can do this, maybe if you're washing up and stuff like that, you can start to do this kind of thing, where you're waiting for the kettle to boil. Another one, if you've got a counter, this is a bit of a low counter, but you just put your foot up. Do your washing there, do your washing up. While you're doing something, making something, get your foot up on the side if you're able to. Yeah, that's another way you can start to develop your balance, because balance goes as we age. And so we need to start bringing it into our life, so we're someone that is balanced. If we don't, what happens is we get older and eventually you fall because your balance goes. So again, this is vitally important that we start bringing this stuff into our lives. In Chinese martial arts, we will stand with the foot up like this, and we'll be in positions like this. Again, this helps with our balance. And again, if you're waiting for the kettle to boil, in Tai Chi, we will practice maybe a few steps of Tai Chi walking. And come back. Always try and put your mind into the exercise, and don't worry about the thing you're waiting for. Okay? But again, bring your exercises into what you do. What we looked at before in Mabu, if you're brushing your teeth, go into Mabu, do it in Mabu. Bring your exercises into your life, and you will become what you do. So there's just a few ideas that you can start bringing into your life so that you become calmer,